Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome back to another episode of PI, aka Parent Involved. I am your host, Jamie, and thank you guys for tuning in to my podcast. This is episode number 10. I just cannot believe that I've made this many episodes. It might not seem like a lot, but definitely number 10 is a milestone for me. So I'm very happy to announce this is episode number 10 and that this episode is going to be about creating or how to create healthy eating habits for picky eaters. So I'm actually going through this right now and decided to go ahead and make a podcast on what I'm going through at this moment. So before I jump into it, guys, if you haven't already, you can follow me on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. On Instagram, it's at parentinvolve_pod, but everywhere else, TikTok, YouTube, it is going to be at Parent Involved. And of course, anywhere you get your podcast every Tuesday, there will be a new episode at 7 a.m. Pacific time. I have had a little skip here and there during this season just because it's been a little bit hectic with the back to school, and then I was sick one week. So definitely just kind of getting back into the groove of things where I can consistently record, and then also I have to edit by myself. So if you do see that I don't post, know that there's a reason. I'm not quitting or anything like that. It's just that, of course, things do come up and I try my best, to make sure I deliver consistently because, of course, that's very important in anything social media related. If no one has ever, really built a community before, I do have a little bit of experience. So currently I have a Pinterest. So my Pinterest has about 5,000 followers. And then I also have an Instagram that I built up for my daughter, which has about a little around the 50,000, I believe. It's been a while since I've been on there because I've actually taken a step away. Okay, so my daughter's Instagram actually has 56,000. So I think we made it up to 58,000. But of course, when you're not uploading consistently or you just kind of pause for a while, you will see the drop. So that's why I know how important it is to consistently upload, especially with a podcast that it's starting from zero. I don't know where it'll be in a year, but definitely I'm up for the challenge and I'm definitely up to seeing it through because I really enjoy creating these episodes just because I'm going through a lot of the things that I talk about, or I've actually been through it. So I feel like I have a little bit of knowledge there, a little wisdom. So that's why I really enjoy doing it. I'm a homebody, always in the house most of the time. And I also work from home. So it's like I'm always in the house. I'm not a very sociable person. I probably have 1 to 2 good friends left in this whole world. So I don't talk to them often. So I felt like this podcast was an outlet for me. And that's why it's very important for me that I create these episodes every week to stay consistent. And then, of course, in the future, I hope that I will get more questions, more answers, just more feedback to the episodes that I create. That way I can have a more conversational type podcast where I can talk to other parents about their experience or even just read and then talk about comments, questions, anything like that. That's how I want this podcast to be in the future. So if you're looking forward to that kind of podcast, definitely stick around because, everyone has to start from somewhere. And this is me starting from here, knowing where I want to go. And so that's why you guys will hear me just, every week you'll hear different topics, and that's how it'll be for hopefully a while to come. So thanks again for tuning in if you are here today. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and jump right into it. So the topic, of course, is how do you create healthy eating habits when you have a picky eater? All of us go through this as parents, especially of little children, little kids starting out with. There's just so many things that they don't like, they don't want to try. And it's all about how can we navigate them to try those foods that are going to be best for them. I do not think that it's an easy process. I don't think that it's something that's quick as well, because I have a 11-year-old and he's still kind of picky. So it's definitely not an easy task. But I think starting from somewhere, knowing where to start from, is going to be key as far as creating those future healthy habits. So I'll start with respecting their preference. Now, when you hear that, I mean, I grew up in a house, what, if you're hungry enough, you're going to eat it. And if you're not, if you don't want what's in front of you, then don't eat it and you go to bed hungry. There were no options really. And that's kind of something that I'm a lot different from. I mean, when I grew up, everything is much different from when I grew up. It's just because I felt that the experience that I had was something that I did not want to pass down to my kids. And that's kind of how it's been in a lot of different aspects when it comes to, disciplining my kids or just holding a standard for them. Some of the things that I grew up on is definitely not something that I would push on them, but it's definitely all relatable when I see them and I'm like, I would try to say something, threaten them, but at the end of the day, they're going to normally get what they want. I'm not going to starve my kids. So if they're picky, they're not eating that, I would say, oh, well, there's nothing else. You're not getting anything else. But at the end of the day, if they don't eat it and I noticed they did not eat it, they really didn't give in, I'm going to find them something else, because I can't do that. That's not me. So definitely, but we want to respect their preference. And really what that has to do with is just understanding that it takes time to grow a healthy food habit. Because I don't even have, just 100% healthy, I don't go 100% healthy options. And I understand that as a kid, textures, colors, smells, all of that affects a child when they're going to try something. Not even like it, but just try something. So if they're not ready to try that, I don't think we should be pressuring them and, punishing them for not trying it. Is definitely a process. And being a parent involved, just like this podcast is, we have to understand that everything is a process with children. We have to understand that what we think they understand. I took a psychology class in college. I think a psychology class should actually be taken in high school. I think that would help kids understand while growing up. Some people don't go to college. So if they don't go to college, they never take a psychology class. If they never take a psychology class, there's some things that they just would not understand. Unless, of course, they figured it out along the way. But definitely, I think a psychology class helps you understand that the mindset of a child is still developing for a long while. And it's important for us to not assume as parents that they know better. You hear that all the time. Oh, they know what they're doing. Oh, they know better. But a lot of times they don't comprehend the way an adult would. So definitely, off topic, off to psychology, but definitely let's respect their preferences. That will create a healthier and emotional benefit as far as not them feeling overwhelmed with having to try something that they're just not ready for at the time. The next thing would be offer variety. So when you're introducing or when you're trying to promote something healthy, I'm learning actually right now that it's a good thing to have variety. So of course, we want fruits and vegetables in the house, but we don't want it to be, okay, you only have broccoli to choose from. We have to look at all the different options, maybe even the benefits. What are you trying to promote more at the time? So, the things that I buy when I look at vegetables, I've been looking at, peppers. So peppers, red peppers, yellow peppers, not even the spicy jalapeno peppers, but of course we like spice. So I will buy the fresh jalapenos so we can kind of, do either we're cooking with them or even eating them fresh with different type of foods that we have to give them flavor, and then getting the fresh vegetables in our system. When it comes to fruit, of course, there's strawberries, bananas, but there's so many other fruits out there, and it's just good to have different options. For example, last week I actually bought, so I only bought 4, but I bought plums for the first time in a long time. It's been so long, I can't even remember. But I did buy 4 plums just to see, how long they would last in the house, if they would get eaten before they went bad. So I bought them, and I used to love plums too, but for some reason I just don't buy them. But when I bought them, and my daughter, she's 5 years old now, so I let her have one, and then she asked for another one. So those plums did not last a day. The first day that we had those plums, they were eaten up and gone. And so now I know plums, it could be the fact that it's been so long since they've probably tasted one. So just tasting it again has, really made them more interested in that fruit. But that's very important that we give them the choice and a variety, something that they don't eat every time, because I've noticed strawberries, that was number 1 in my house. Like, we kept strawberries in the house, but now I buy them and they're going bad. I'm finding more and more packages of strawberries are not getting eaten. All of them are not getting eaten. And I definitely think it's because I was buying them so often. So definitely switch it up, do a variety, maybe a fruit bowl so they can choose, but not too much, of course, because we don't want things going bad and we don't want it to be wasted. So I would definitely recommend just trying a few at a time, especially if it's been a while or if they've never tasted it before. That way you can kind of see how it does in your house. So the next thing would be involve them in meal planning. I always do this. I try to see, first, I always make something that I feel like, they would eat. So let's just say spaghetti. That's top. That's like probably once a week, once every week at least meal that I try to prep. And only because, I do feel that it is something that's a filling. So it will help them, be full. And then there's usually always at least a day's worth of leftovers, which I'm not a big cooker. I don't like to cook. I have to admit that. But when I do cook, I do try to make sure that we can have something for the next day, because I don't want to have to cook every single day, just because, I am that mom that I work. And when I get off of work, I'm mentally exhausted, and I definitely just don't feel like cooking. I mean, for an example, tonight I made a salad, which was, we had the chopped ham, and then we had, some ranch, cheese, some croutons, and then some bacon bits on the top. But that was all that we had for dinner. And then we had, of course, the snacks on the side, healthy options. I'm usually eating like the dark chocolate almonds, trying to stay close to keto. But for my kids, they've been eating like fruits and pistachios. I found out that they really like the pistachios, so I've been buying those. But it's definitely something that I had to incorporate, the healthy eating habits and looking for the options. I mean, I no longer buy chips. I try to keep chips out the house, and I also try to keep like the gummies. That was something I used to always have in the house as an option. But now, instead of gummies, I'm like, let me just keep fruit in the house, some type of fruit, and then a different option, not just the strawberries, because of course, like I said, they get tired of the strawberries. So I keep grapes. And then I try to keep also oranges, the mandarins, and the tangerines. So definitely, you have to involve them in the meal planning. So when I do ask them, what do they like out of everything that I've made, or if there's something that they want to try, or I even look up something, something that looks like it would last more than a day. And so I usually let them know, like, okay, I'm going to buy this and I'm going to try cooking this tonight. And, I try to see if they say anything, and most of the time there's nothing, but I just, I do try to put it out there. So if it's something that they've eaten before and they're like, no, I don't want to eat that, Mom, then of course I'm not going to make it, because I don't want to waste food. I don't want food sitting there and then they're looking for something else to snack on or eat. I definitely want them to eat what I make. So involve them in the meal planning if possible. Another one is be patient. That's really important. I mean, I did express this when I said respect their preferences, but definitely we have to be patient. Kids are growing. Everything is changing so constantly, and it's very important, we understand that we had to learn to like something. We had to learn to experience something. So when it comes to trying to push them to that healthy option, or just, if they're picky, push them to something different, we have to remember to just be patient. I think for a long time I didn't like broccoli, but now, as an adult, put some cheese in there, steam it, and then put the cheese on there and melt it on there while it's steaming. I mean, I'll eat broccoli all day by itself. So it's just a matter of, being patient and just introducing it maybe on the side of a meal that they really like, and just have them try a few bites. Because, if you put the right seasoning on there, make it flavorful, of course they're gonna come around if they taste it. It just depends. Some things no one ever comes around on. I mean, Brussels sprouts is one for me. I can't. I think I've tried it once and that was it for me. And I won't go back. I'll see a Brussels sprout and I'm like, no, I'm good. But, some people love them. So it's just a matter of, giving it time and just being patient to see. And just don't forget, like I said, introducing different variety, because there's just some things people don't come around to. Another thing would be just setting a good example. This is something that I felt, especially with the range that my kids are in right now. I have, a 5 and 11-year-old now. So it was very important to me that I set a good example. I felt like I couldn't be in the house trying to eat burgers or, just snacking on chips while they, had to eat healthy, eat fruit instead of chips. So that's why when I decided that it was time to make sure they ate the healthy options, I did away with the chips altogether. I mean, I like a nice bag, a Lay's, so a good bag of Lay's. But I felt that if I was going to try to be promoting, healthy eating habits, I had to make sure that they were also, that they saw me, that I was trying to eat healthy as well. When it came to, for example, juice, Capri Suns, I used to never get Capri Suns. It's just something that since I moved to California, that's what we had to resort to, because a Walmart's not close to us, right? And the Walmart usually has like those high C's in, I think, 36 pack, 24 pack, just the big pack. So that's what I used to buy when I lived in Texas. But since I moved to California, it was like I had to get the Capri Suns because the high C's weren't there. They were only in like the 6-pack. And, having multiple children, of course, 6-pack's not going to last the day. So I decided, I've been doing Capri Suns for probably, I don't even know how long, probably a year or more than a year. So just recently, I've decided no more Capri Suns in the house. And that definitely had to do with, us trying as a family to just eat healthier, not really about losing weight, but just doing the healthy options, staying away from the sugar, staying away from the processed foods. All of that played a factor in making sure, I didn't want it to be available to just one person. So that's why I cut it out the house altogether. I'll buy, a tea, maybe a half a gallon of tea every now and again. Yeah, so I just basically decided, to cut it out. All we have is water. I also do the Crystal Light, no sugar added, no artificial sugar or anything. But if, we need some type of flavor, definitely there's some type of option. So it was just something that I felt like setting a good example was key, because I haven't had any complaints either when it comes to everyone that's been eating healthy. We've been just doing it like we've been doing it for years. So I think that played a big factor that played in it was because I was doing it and, I made it natural. I made it look like this was what we do in this house. So it's been very effective. The next thing would be serve small portions. So when you're trying to introduce like new foods, especially, you want to give them a little bit at a time, because I know, there's many a times where we think, put a serving on there, a cup or a spoonful, and it's just too much. and they're overwhelmed with it and they're just not feeling it. So, it's a lot of food, and of course we can get upset because we're feeling like that's a lot of food to be wasting. But if we just don't give it to them, just give it to them in very small portions, then we won't be so upset that they end up don't eating it. So definitely serve in small portions if we're trying to introduce something new or just something that they normally don't like. And maybe, they might eat the one spoonful if, you kept it to a minimum. So definitely that's something that's going to be key when we're trying to introduce foods to the picky eaters. Another thing would be make it fun. So I would say arrange it on maybe the plate in fun shapes. So I do have, when I created like rice balls, Japanese rice balls, and I try to do like the shapes. I bought a little set one time where I wanted to do like the bento boxes, and just because I wanted to make it creative, make it look nice for them when they had lunches at school. So I think making it fun that way will help them eat, make them want to try it pretty much. It'll look flavorful, which sounds crazy, but of course, some things, if they look good, you might end up trying it more than if it, just was sitting on a plate in a slump or in a pile or something. So definitely try to make it fun if you can. Shapes, I would recommend, because they have so many, especially on Amazon. They have all of these little items for food that you can make out. Even, something as simple as a hot dog or a piece of turkey. There's so many things that you can use a little cutter for and then make it look flavorful for them when they're eating, their lunch or something. So the next would be consistent. That's important. Being consistent is like very important in everything that you do, which is, it sounds like is just beating a dead horse, but definitely being consistent. If you're going to try to promote this healthy habit, because of course a habit is something that you continually to do. It's not even something that you would think of. It's just something that automatically happens. So trying to create this habit of eating healthy or just being a person that tries different foods, not be, really a picky eater, you're going to have to be consistent. I would suggest, as far as when you're trying new foods, if you're going to try, at least maybe I would try doing like a certain night of the week or certain days of the week. You're like, okay, today is try this type of food tonight, and everyone is going to try, so I think that's a way of making it fun and being consistent. That way they know, there's other foods out there and they know that they're going to have the chance to try it. Either they like it or they don't. And it's not really a matter of, okay, we're having this again. It'll be, okay, this is the night that we're going to try this something different, or we're going to try this again. So just be consistent, whenever you're trying to introduce the new foods to the picky eater, or if you're trying to introduce the healthy food. So the last thing that I would definitely recommend to stop doing is basically just limit the snacking. So when you're trying to introduce healthy foods or just new foods in general, I have found that if your kid has been snacking before the dinner, throughout the day, then when it comes to eating the real food, the healthy food, they're not hungry or they're not wanting to, indulge in eating it. But if you've kind of created a routine where, you say one snack between meals, something like that. And then when it's time to eat, they're open to eating because they're hungry. So they're not going to be too picky when it comes to eating. So definitely eliminating the snacks, especially the sweet snacks, is going to be very important when you're trying to promote that healthy eating habit or just promoting eating something new. Because of course, when they're hungry, a lot of things that they may not have been interested in are now seeming to be more satisfiable or starting to look tasty. So definitely limit the snacking is going to be key when you're trying to create these healthy habits or just trying to get away from the picky eater, because of course they're used to eating. So there's other things out there in that when they're hungry, they can look at this instead of this. Then I think it'll be better, when it's time to introduce those foods, and they'll be more open to trying it out. So yeah, that was pretty much what I wanted to discuss today. Just a few things that I found out, especially this is a new routine for us. I won't say we've been doing it for years because we definitely haven't, but it's something that I have started doing consistently. And I'm very proud of that because, I felt like, of course, you want to be healthy for your children, but at the same time, you want them to be healthy as well. And when it comes down to it in the future, when your kids have those healthy habits, it's going to be on us. If they don't have the healthy habits, it's on us again because we didn't help promote that early on. I don't feel like it's ever too late. So I don't think that just because, well, we've been doing it this way, that you have to continue doing it that way. You can one day just up and, when you go shopping, eliminate all the snacks, eliminate, all the bad snacks, not the snacks, but because the kids have to have something to snack on. So just eliminate all of those sugar processed snacks, eliminating all the juice. It has to stop somewhere, and really as adults or as the parent involved, it really has to stop with us. So we're the ones that are aiding to that behavior. So I feel like since I've started it, I'm hoping that we'll be able to all see the change and we can see, our health improve, our weight be more manageable, and, just be more healthy all around, and start from the bottom up so that when they, go out into the world on their own, that they can make the healthy choices and, not feel like, okay, I'm stopping by McDonald's today, because that's how I used to do every day with my mom or every week. Me and my mom used to go to McDonald's, and I'm going to do that. So I'm hoping that they don't grow into that and that doesn't become a behavior in the future. And definitely, I feel like it does have to start with me to create that healthy habit. So thank you guys again for tuning in. Again, you can follow me on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and of course, you can send me a direct message on Instagram. That's where I would normally respond. So thanks again for tuning in. And every Tuesday, I will upload a new episode, and hope you guys tune in then. Thank you again and have a great day.